Hello and welcome. My name is Mary Van Dyke, owner of Finding Grandpa. This series is called Building the Bridge Back to Ireland, using various websites to find documents that might show where in Ireland your ancestors are from and where to look once you get across the pond. This is part 5, the second half of websites that might have the American records we discussed in part 3. Before we begin, all the websites listed here are samples only. They do not represent the full range of options at your fingertips on the internet. They are websites that I use often. And again, I bounce back and forth between the websites because they all have different databases, and I need to make sure I'm looking in as many locations as possible. Be aware that some of the free websites I discuss might change in the future and may have fees attached. I will use various surnames in the examples in the slideshows, and I don't want to confuse you. If one image shows I've got a McDonald in that particular record, and the next one on the next slide shows I'm tracking a Riley, I just don't want to confuse you. The internet websites we'll be talking about in this part is ellisisland.org, castlegarden.org, google.com, findagrave.com, chroniclingamerica.loc.gov, newspaperarchive.com, newspapers.com, and fultonhistory.com. Ellis Island I use primarily for ship manifest records, and a few weeks before I created this video, they had changed their website, and it was in a beta mode, so I fully expect a whole different website, or at least some major changes. So if you go to this website after viewing the video, just expect changes in the way the pages are laid out and the options of searching. Now currently, under the Ellis Island tab, I scroll way down under Search Ellis and select Passenger Search. It'll bring me to this page, and this is where I can type in a first name or initial, a last name, and click the right forward arrow. I'm looking for Robert Armitage, who arrived in America in 1903. But notice on the left, the search results that show 117 Armitages are Armitages, and I want to narrow my search. So I click that narrow your search button, and I'm going to say, give me all the males who are single. If I click the forward arrow, I can reduce the search results by year of arrival. Now, I found a 1910 census record for Robert that said he came over in 1903. But since I know records vary with the data, I'm going to widen my search. I don't want it to say just 1903. I'm going to go a few years before and a few years after, and hopefully I won't have a gazillion results. And when I actually say show me just 1901 to 1905, there is only one R. Armitage, my little Robert. Now, to see his original ship manifest, underneath his name in the lower right corner of that little index card, I click Ship Manifest, and it will take me to the actual image. Now, if I hover my mouse over that magnifying glass, I can zoom in sections at a time, but I can scroll around the original image. Ellis Island doesn't let you see the original ship manifest in full view. You can only see sections at a time. But you can purchase the images. So there's my little Robert. Castlegarden.org is primarily an index of people who arrived by ship to New York Harbor between 1820 through the early 1890s, before Ellis Island was open. It's an index database. Now, when you click the search tab at the top center on the left side, I'm saying, show me all the James McDonalds that arrived between 1850 and 1855. There are 32 results. I sorted it by age because I'm looking for a 5-year-old boy who arrived in 1853, according to his death record. But I don't see him there. So what I'm going to do is pay attention to the first 4 or 5 little boys, and go back to the search tab and actually look for all McDonald's. For example, the first line, all the McDonald's that arrived in 1850. I'm going to sort the search results by arrival date, and I'm going to look for the families that arrived on the 4th of May. Hopefully I can find out who this little 3-year-old boy shipped with, who he arrived with. And I'm going to do that for each and every line item. I want to find my James with his parents, Peter and Margaret, or older siblings. And that's why I do this. I'm going to look for my specific guy, then I'm going to go in and find out who he might have traveled with. But notice on the far left under last name, I didn't type a space in McDonald. If I did type a space, it would give me a different search results list. So you need to play with names, play with the spellings, and you'll be able to actually get a bigger picture. So if your ancestors were actually different, like O'Reilly, it could be O space Riley, O hyphen Riley, could be O'Reilly all run together. It might even be in there as Riley and the various spellings of that name. I just want you to pay attention to trying it with different spellings. I'm not going to go into too much on Google.com, but I Google everything. When I'm looking for a location, I want to look at maps. I want to know all about it, the surrounding areas, because it's going to help me when I'm searching Ireland records to know what's around it. Is Loch Ray in the center of an area? What townlands are around Loch Ray? If I'm looking for Galway, what townlands or areas are in Galway County versus Galway City? When I search for a person's name, I always use quotes. Now, I'm going to try it without quotes. I'm going to get millions of hits. If I tried Patrick Finnegan with quotes, I'm going to get a reduced amount. But if I try Patrick J. Finnegan, then I'm going to get even smaller amount. So using quotes or not, and typing different information in the quotes, inside the quotes, will help to narrow or widen my search results. Now, I was helping my cousin find a book on his grandfather, Patrick J. Finnegan, and when I used quotes, I was able to find this little booklet that was printed about his grandfather in 1904. His grandfather was jailed for 20 years for a murder in Ireland that he didn't commit. And when he got out of jail, they created this little booklet and sent Patrick around America to help raise awareness as well as funds to support the causes of the Sinn Féin and the Landleaguers. Findagrave.com is an all-volunteer website worldwide. It's primarily in America, but it is worldwide. And the volunteers will go around to graveyards and cemeteries in their area, photographing headstones, as well as uploading internment registers for them, as well as people just uploading their own ancestors that they know are buried in specific cemeteries. And when I search this on the far right, the top of the list, I'm going to click Search Grave Records. I'm looking for a Patrick Kelly that was buried in Erie County, New York. Now notice I said buried. He might have died in Indiana, but all the people who are actually doing the volunteer uploading to this website, they only know he's buried in a cemetery in a location. They might not know where he died. So when I select the search button for Erie County cemeteries, there are 7 results. The man who died, Patrick J., in 1927 is the one I'm looking for. When I click his name, it takes me to his memorial page. Now, first thing I notice right off is that the creator of the memorial has uploaded the birth and death dates as 1861 and 1927. And thankfully, there is a photograph there of the headstone. I want to see the original image. If it's not there, if there is no headstone, or if it just showed the family headstone, the big block in the center photo saying Kelly, I would actually be able to request a photo of his headstone by scrolling down his page and select Request a Photo. And hopefully within a couple of weeks, a volunteer in the area will be able to go to the cemetery, find his grave location, and photograph the headstone for me. I want to see the original. I want to make sure that 1861 is 1861 and not possibly 1867. What you really want to do is look at the numbers and letters on the headstone yourself, just to prevent any possible errors in transcribing information to websites. You always want to look at the original image yourself. And now that I know that 1861 is his birth year, and I agree with that in the image, I'm going to click the Mount Olivet Cemetery link in blue to go to the main page for the cemetery. Now I want to search for all Kellys buried there, and hopefully I can actually find a family or other family members in that section where Patrick was buried or in nearby sections. I'm hoping to find family members, possibly siblings or parents, or I might find the spouse and the children. I'm trying to firm relationships. Also, on pages, memorial pages, people might upload photographs of the person who passed away. If Patrick was my ancestor, even though I didn't create the memorial, I know Patrick might be my grandfather, and I have a photograph. I could upload the photograph to his page. I can add information. People might have uploaded obituaries. They might have uploaded biographies. And they might have actually linked Patrick's memorial number. Notice under his name at the bottom in the center of the page, find a grave memorial number with the number there. That number can be linked to parents and spouse and children. And you might see family relationship links that will help you in finding your family. ChroniclingAmerica.loc.gov is a newspaper site that is put on by the Library of Congress. They are digitizing American newspapers and uploading them for free, and it's an ongoing process. If you click the All States over on the far left, the down arrow next to All States, you can see what states have been uploaded, either partially or fully, because it is an ongoing site. If you don't see your state at that time, I'd suggest you come back in a few weeks or a couple of months to see what's newly uploaded. Say the very first line, Alabama. They do have some newspapers uploaded for Alabama, but maybe in another few weeks they have a whole lot more. Again, it's an ongoing process. You can sort your results by a date range immediately to the right, and fill in the long horizontal white box with your search term. Newspaperarchive.com is a paid website, and if you click the Advanced Search tab down on the lower right, you can type in a person's name. You can type in a date range if you choose, select a location. You can select a state or a city. You can even sort your results by a publication. Newspapers.com is also a paid website, and you can type in again a person's name, a location, and a date range. When I typed in James McDonald looking for my great-great-grandfather, I could not find him on this website. There was nothing in their database. But when I went to FultonHistory.com, I was able to find it. And I didn't know about Fulton History until my cousin, Brendan, told me to search here. I can tell you to ignore the clown. Tom is allowed to have the clown. One man has uploaded hundreds and hundreds, I should say millions and millions of newspaper web pages, newspaper pages from New York State and the surrounding areas, all by himself from his house. He bought a machine that will scan and digitize newspaper microfilms, and he's ordered hundreds and thousands of microfilm rolls and spent the time scanning them and uploading them to his database. He bought a machine that will do OCR reading of the pages, the PDF pages, and he bought several computers and created a whole server system, which you'll notice on the far left in this photo. This is Tom standing in front of his gazebo on his back porch where he's got his whole server system. So I'm telling you, ignore the clown. This man is allowed to be silly. He's done by himself from his home what these big organizations and companies have done. And he's doing it for free so that we can go in and search for our ancestors. I suggest you click the frequently asked questions link on the far right at the top so that you can reduce your search results. If I just typed in James McDonald, I would have over 5,000 hits in the result page. But when I typed in, show me James McDonald, New York City, and then I added a phrase, blacksmith, I was actually able to find my great-great-grandfather's death. Again, so significant, it was on the front page of the New York Times, and I wouldn't have been able to find it if it wasn't for this website. I never would have found his death record. In part 6 of the series is Irish records, and I describe what records can be found and what information might be in those records. Thank you for watching.